Hello and welcome to the Super Salty Podcast with me, Neelesh, and my co-host
Max Wallace. Where is he? He's right here, and he's also in this. What are we? The second episode of season 2.
Yes,
which we are calling. I don't even know how we're the naming number
until I get fed up of remembering that it's season 2, episode 2, and I just cram everything back into one season and call it episode 20 or whatever it is. Hello, this is a Super Salty Podcast. Today we just like to talk about something a bit more real life. Coronavirus, Max, which I'm not scared of dying of because I'm a relatively fit human being with no health problems, and the chances of it killing you are quite slim, but obviously you don't want a sickness that could kill you, any percentage. However, I just don't want to get sick. It's the truth. I'm a little crybaby about being sick. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I think it's because evolutionary, I am not meant for this climate, and my immune system is just pathetic here, and everyone... I'm really conscious of the way people wipe their noses and stuff. I'm like, so basically, you're going to wipe your nose, and then you're going to turn it around and get all that snot on your fingers, and then you'll turn it around again and put it back on your face. Good job, people.
I used to be on the other end of, I guess that way of thinking in terms of germs and stuff. I used to be like extra, I don't care, but it's definitely flip flopping around, especially with. I'm pointing to a cat right now. This guy in my house. I feel like I'm washing my hands a lot more. And I'm the kind of person now, dude, I have hand sanitizer on my keychain. How ridiculous is that?
God damn. You extra. Yeah, so I wanted to see Birds of Prey this weekend, but a couple things sort of ruined that plan. The third case of coronavirus has been found in Brighton, which is very close to where I live, and obviously the cinema would be in Brighton, and I don't... Look, if there's a city in the UK where people are spitting in each other's mouths, it's Brighton. And I don't want to be around people, and I don't want to get sick, really. But the other big reason, it was half the reason we didn't go, but the biggest reason is Storm Ciara is just wreaking havoc across the entire country. So this is the storm that Britain is subject to right now, and it was just a bit windy, and it was a bit of a nuisance. Us British people always chasing our bins down the street because they're wheeling off down the street and the lids are flapping, and we're going outside and putting bricks on the goddamn lids. And the worst part, honestly, is that when it's really windy, the bins slam against the house and make a hell of a lot of noise.
Hearing a literal bump in the neck. Don't you love feeling safe? It's my favorite.
But then basically it was just kind of windy for quite a lot of the day, and then all of a sudden for 5 minutes straight it was like a hurricane, and we were like, what the fuck? And then it just stopped. And now it's just a little bit windy again, but we had sorry, go on. It was probably 100 miles an hour winds for 5 minutes, and then it just stopped. It just was clear again.
We had a storm pretty similar to that in this area. So there's a golf course within I don't know, it's 10 miles from my house, maybe less. So it was the past year they had this storm. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's called a micro something, a micro surge or some kind of it was a flash kind of storm. And so it was a 10-minute span, and it was around 60 or 70 trees were uprooted. And basically the cleanup shut the golf course down for almost a year. Basically, from a 10-minute storm.
Yeah, some freaking
out of nowhere.
Some freaking it was only just where I lived. We got it from full blast for a very short period of time. I think some people are getting it worse for longer. Obviously, some places are flooded. Some trees are falling into roads. Some schools are shut down because their roofs are blowing off. So all in all, I didn't really get that bad of a deal, really. But yeah,
it's interesting to see what global warming is doing.
Yeah,
I live in West Virginia, known for our mountains. I've never heard or been near a tornado almost my entire 27-year life, but there was a tornado last year.
Apparently there was a tornado very recently, as in during the storm, just out of nowhere, just very small, and sudden, and then it just stopped. This tends to happen here. There's like a bit of a tornado, and then it just kind of stops.
I work in news, and so the next day I was out there going to properties, people who had called in and know our station, and were like, "Hey, do you want to see the damage at my place?" There were areas with like sections of the sidewalk like torn up, like trees that like were definitely 100 years old, like uprooted, like crazy shit and stuff. I like never seen anything like that in this area ever.
That's
and so
insane.
That was pretty wild to see firsthand and have this person explain to me like, yeah, we were just like barbecuing on the back porch, and which is weird that barbecue is a verb sometimes, and we from the time that we noticed something was wrong to running around the house, there was like shit flying everywhere. I was like, oh, that's horrifying.
We've never had like tornado like you see in the movies. Nothing like that. Nothing
here
quite
either,
like
really.
a Sharknado. But, however, the other time it was windy, there was a cat shark that blew up from the sea, or maybe it got beached. It was small. It was like less. It was about 50 centimeters long. Maybe a seagull picked it up and dropped it, but there was just a cat shark outside my house on the road, and that was weird. And I actually looked into like, can you cook cat shark? And you can, but the problem is, okay, it's my version of roadkill. Things that fly out the sea and onto my freaking front garden.
So are catfish and cat sharks different? Is it a bigger catfish, or are we just different words, same name, different countries?
It's just they're completely different things.
Okay.
Yeah, a catfish.
I have a keyboard. I can make this work.
Am I wrong?
Cat shark. I don't know. Catfish is a pretty common fish in this area. I guess they're different. Yeah, that's different. That's not a catfish.
Yeah, okay. It was definitely a cat shark. It kind of looked like one, but I wasn't really sure until I like Googled it. Yeah, that's one of them.
They're the bottom feeder looking sharks. I'm pretty sure they're harmless. If I remember correctly. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it was.
We've had some mini little guys like that in our fish tank when I was younger. They clean the algae off of our tank. Thank you.
That's cool.
We called them sucker fish. Sucker with 2 C's.
Did I ever tell you when I was small, my dad told me that the fish that we got ran away, and I was like, it's actually plausible because we live near the sea. So, and I had loads of questions like, so it like flopped all the way down there and across the road, and he was like, yeah, and then like flopped up the stairs, and he was like, yeah, and then flopped all the way down the pebbles and into the sea, and he was like, yeah. And I was like, how did it breathe? And he was like, it was raining. I was like, checks out.
Cool. No more. This line of questioning has come to an end. Yeah, I saw him throw on his trilby, pick up his briefcase, and he got the fuck out of there. So, see ya. He had a business meeting. Your fish went up to get cigarettes, is what he was saying to you.
Wow. Except for he didn't, because I was too young to know about smoking. But honestly, the thing is, though, I had a death in the family before this, so it wasn't really a big deal, and I would definitely be able to handle it, but it was like, no, it ran away.
Right, you were perfectly introduced to the concept of death, but even then your fish ran away. Yeah.
God. Strange Weird. Family.
Yeah.
You have been playing Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah.
Which is a killer game.
God, I love that game. I sometimes enjoy it more than... I mean, depending on the mood, I can be more into the mood for that than like Grand Theft Auto, even though it's definitely borrowing Grand Theft Auto style for sure. Man, it's just so it's so rich with an atmosphere. The jokes good, feels good to play. But I don't know. So I picked it up originally because I found that there was a PC version just going around like, hey, it's like for just download and install this. It's an abandonware. Like they don't even sell it anywhere. You have to get it on eBay. So someone just uploaded the game on PC. I played for a little while. I was still in like the first area, the neighborhood area, and I was having problems. Like textures weren't loading. It was being weird. So I scoured the internet and somehow, and not through BitTorrent, found the GameCube version and emulated it on one of the best emulators of all time, Dolphin.
Don't tell Nintendo.
Nintendo won't do that. And it runs awesome. It's so good. By the way, did you notice that? I don't know if you ever was like big into emulating games, but
for a little bit,
suddenly out of nowhere, Nintendo sent cease and desists to all the main emulator sites, EMU Paradise, Cool ROMs, all that shit. Just uprooted.
They did it. They
pretty wild.
They do that. Yeah. They do that. You run a big risk. There was a guy who remade which Mario game was it? I think it was the Mario.
Well, there was an Unreal Engine Super Mario 64 that I saw.
That's exactly
that got cease and desist. There was a bunch of stuff like that. There were awesome, innovative fan games that Nintendo's like, fuck you.
Yep.
And just gone.
Amen.
Did you see the original Mario modded to be a battle royale? That was crazy. Oh my god. Okay, so someone programmed a version of the original Mario, so like the Mario that came with Duck Hunt, that one, to be online, and 100 people join the game at the same time and are in World 1-1 at the same time, and you interact with each other. Like, you can jump on each other and shit. It's pretty crazy. I think you can interact, and so the point of that game is to be the last person surviving. So, if you just stand there, you die. So you got to progress and go through level, go to level 1, 2, 1, 3, etc. And if you're if you get the furthest, or you get to the end first, you win. And it was like super popular. The developer made a video on YouTube about it, and that video itself was super popular. It's like such a cool idea, and then it was just gone really quickly. And I think that's the thing with Nintendo. I understand if you want to, if you have an idea, you don't want someone else doing it with your IP. Like, you own your IP, sure.
Yeah.
But Nintendo doesn't ever offer an alternative, and they are especially bad about that. This is kind of tangential, but I've seen it time and time again with their music. They will not let you even do covers of their music and make any money from it, but then they don't ever put any of their soundtracks up for purchase anywhere. You can't go get the soundtrack for Super Mario Odyssey anywhere. That's weird. And so people
that is strange.
So if you want to listen to it on Spotify, you'd think, I'll just listen to someone do a cover of it. Well, no, you can't do that either, because they don't allow it. So you just can't listen to Nintendo music.
I think someone made a video about this.
That's stupid.
It's really difficult to. It's even difficult to preserve them because you can't find them outside the games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, just can you let the fans love you, please? They have in-house one of the best composers of all time, Koji Kondo.
I have gone full 360 on 180. 360, you end up in the same place. Full 180 on Animal Crossing, because I knew that if I let myself have a little taste, I wouldn't be able to stop. And I looked at Animal Crossing gameplay for the new Animal Crossing, New Horizons, and I was like, great, now I'm buying this. So that happened.
Oh yeah.
I want to go back to something actually. Simpsons Hit and Run. I got my girlfriend to buy me a PlayStation 2 for Christmas because I had my old PS2 Simpsons Hit and Run, and I played it for a bit, and it was very nostalgic. I also feel like you remember things a little bit better than they actually were. It's a very clunky game to play.
Sure. They didn't have. I don't feel like they had the sort of button layouts and conventions and mechanics that were made standard sort of till after that. But I don't know. It still kind of stands up on its own.
Fun.
The pacing's good. So one of my favorite things about it too is that the levels are pretty unique from each other, and you don't have to spend a ton of time in each one. So you have your main storyline missions basically, and they sort of guide you through that naturally. You complete one, it basically tells you instantly go to Homer's house, and that's where the next mission starts. But on the way, you'll see people standing there with an icon that says, "Hey, there's a race here," or "This is an extra side mission." And you get rewarded for those things. You might unlock a car that's faster than the ones you have if you just do the side mission. You didn't even realize you would get that as a reward. You're like, well, I'm glad I did that side mission. And by the time it lets you go to the next area, you've really only completed it gives you a percentage, only about 50% of that level. So it doesn't make you spend a shitload of time in each level. You can move on and experience new stuff if you want, or go back, complete some more side quests. So it's refreshing to like be different people, and you get a different car every level too, because you're a different character. You're Homer Simpson in the first one. You have the pink family sedan. It's pretty standard. It's pretty, baseline all around. But then you go to the area 2. You get the honor roller with Bart. That car is fast as fuck. The handling's weird, but it's very fast. 3rd level, Lisa Simpson. You get her like little. It's like a Barbie kind of. What do you call it? Like a convertible kind of car. That thing is zippy as hell. It's like, I love it. It's so fun. I'm digging it. And I'm playing it right now. I'm playing through it.
That is genuinely one of the best games on PS2.
I agree.
However, other Simpsons titles are not great. Like, I played the hell out of Simpsons Skateboarding. But when I look back at it, like videos online and reviews and all sorts, I'm like, they're right. This did kind of suck in a weird way, that it was really hard to play. And like, I think it's because I was small and I loved the genre, well, the IP, Simpsons, and I just pushed through it. There was one time where like it just stopped working. Yeah, it just stopped working one day, and like I couldn't load, and I just stopped playing. I guess
nobody likes that.
No,
nobody likes that. There was another Simpsons driving game that came out before Hit and Run. I'm trying to remember what
I played that too.
It was like Road Rage.
I think it was
Road Rage.
I think it was Road Rage. I think it's
Road Rage. So, in terms of driving, feels good. Oh, and that's one thing. It's probably my favorite about. So my favorite thing about Simpsons Hit and Run is also my favorite thing about Grand Theft Auto, which is the driving feels really good. I actually, and in playing this, I mean, maybe I'm in a weird headspace here, but I like how the e-brake in Hit and Run feels better than it feels in Grand Theft Auto 5. It feels way more satisfying. I feel like I go sideways around, drift around corners.
It's like you
better in
Tokyo Drift
Hit and Run than I do.
You hit Tokyo Drift mode all of a sudden. It's like, what? Why am I doing the right angle turn? But
it's kind of weird because I think it's gas is R2 in Grand Theft Auto 5, and then R1 is your e-brake, so they're kind of like next to each other. In Hit and Run, at least, it was square for me is the e-brake. So I don't know, for some reason it felt better.
Find the rocket car, not Bart's car, but the rocket vehicle?
Yes,
and like you could, if you
destroy it in like 5 seconds, but it's amazing.
Well, I guess I must have reloaded every time I destroyed it, because I definitely managed to break the game in a big way, going up a ramp and just exiting the domains of the game, because you could hit
out of bounds
such a high speed that you would just, and then you just land in like Play-Doh land where they haven't textured anything properly.
It's just pure fun. It's just pure fun, that game.
Thing is, what would be worse is like it was back then, games used to save just when you hit certain locations on the map, and it doesn't really regard height. I had this problem with Halo 3, that it hit a save as I exited a vehicle in midair just before a cutscene. But like in The Simpsons, I hit a ramp with the rocket car and went absolutely flying, and my reload was in the air on a trajectory to leave the game again.
I see. I thought in that game that you'd had to manually save, but maybe you were. Oh,
maybe I did that.
Starting a mission or something that triggered a.
Who knows? This was a long time ago. I just remember knowing that I had to like abandon and go back a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, here's a topic for you too, and this is an interesting thing. Being in the year 2020, have you gone back recently and played a game where you have to manually save to make progress? And if you close the game, everything you did is gone. Have you been across that recently?
Are you talking? Are we segueing into a roguelike?
No, I'm just talking about the concept.
Doesn't Risk of Rain 2 do that?
No. I'm not even segueing. I'm saying just as a concept, because I played Dead Rising like a couple months ago, and I thought Xbox 360 game automatically saves. Well, it doesn't. So I I played for like an hour and then like loaded it back up after taking a break, and like all my progress was gone. I'm like, oh, you have to walk all the way back to the safe room and save.
The last game I played like that, which I just remembered off the top of my head, was a Flash game called, I think it was called One Chance, and it's you get one chance to find the cure to save humanity. It's just called One Chance. You can play it on Congregate. You have one chance to find the cure for humanity, and if you fail, I don't think it's a cookie. I think it does something else that makes it. Maybe it's a cookie. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
I think this is a different concept than what I'm talking about, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like you can't ever play it again. Like that's the last game I've played where I was just like, if
it like remembers your MAC address of your network card or something.
If I don't succeed, then I can no longer play it, and I've never hit it again. But that's insane. I really think we should do like another episode on just like Flash games. Yeah, and just go through different. I think we kind of did that with like Newgrounds, but there are other Flash games out there.
I say we do an episode, and this would just be for the visual watchers people, but we play them. I think that would be sick.
Yeah, that would be sick. Fun. I've been sort of experimenting with the idea that maybe we could do some gameplay stuff on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think so. Just like little, we play something for like an hour and then edit it down to 5 minutes. Just like a quick little something. Throw it in there.
Quick little something.
Yeah.
Can I talk about Breath of the Wild a bit?
Absolutely. We both played. I've completed that game, so I can talk about that with you.
So once again, I was jealous of my neighbor because he borrowed it and played it, and he got so much further than me, and he finished it in the end. And I was like, "Give it back," so that I could play it. Because like, I think I was playing it, and then just like university stuff came up, and then I stopped playing it and fell off it, and then seeing it again, I'm just like, oh my god, I barely even scratched the surface. There are things in that game that are really annoying. Weapons breaking, that's really annoying. You can never figure out where you found this specific item for a recipe. Like there's just, unless you take out your phone or computer and you Google it, it's really hard to find certain things that you want a recipe for, and even then, like, there's no recipe book. I wish you could just like write notes directly onto the map. Just be like chilies, bananas.
You can put icons. You can choose custom icons and put them on the map. So if you can decide in your head that this star means banana, then cool. If you do that, you kind of can. But I know
but you reserve the icons for more important things. Like there's a boss here. Here's Hetsu. Don't even get me started about Hetsu. He's a motherfucker to find. Because that's something you just straight up have to Google. Because I thought the first time you find him and give him his goddamn maracas, he then moves on. So I wasn't looking in the first place I found him. I was looking in all the other places he was supposed to go. Also, I don't like when you find his goddamn seeds. I don't know if I should explain. Should I explain? Why not? This tree person or this vegetation person, and you need to find these seeds which are under rocks, or you complete a puzzle that's not announced as a puzzle, but you can clearly see it's some sort of visual puzzle where you're supposed to put something in it, or just shooting arrow things, and then someone will give you this like golden seed, and you spend these seeds to get more inventory space, and it is a bit of a chore. And what I really don't like is that they don't show up on the map, you find them, but then when you do find them, there's a permanent icon on the map for where you found them, but I don't need to go there again. So why is there an icon? And there are so many of them, Max. There are so many. So if you just raid an area finding all of them, which you have to do, because if you want to be able to carry more than like 10 weapons, or however many you start with, you just have to do it. And Like the town.
I get it to some extent. I get it to some extent. I'll say, okay, if you're the type of person like I'm going to 100% this game, there are, if I remember correctly, there's like 900 Korok seeds in the game. They are everywhere. So you're going to have to Google them to find them all if you're going to 100%. So having a record of the ones that you found and being able to compare it against a map online of completed ones, that might be nice. However, you should be able to toggle it off if you are not that kind of sociopath.
Yes.
So I'm half with you on that. You should be able to toggle that off, though it does have a use. But yeah, that shit's crazy, dude. And they're fun. It's my favorite. I love them because the way I played it, at least, and I'm sure the way you're playing it, you stumble upon them just randomly. And so basically, for those who the uninitiated, Korok seeds, the puzzles for them are basically just oddities on the ground. I remember the first one I ever saw, and I think they kind of lead you to this one, is there is a circle of like 10 rocks just in a perfect circle on the ground. But then there's a single rock in the circle missing, and it's like 10 feet to the side. So there's no instruction, there's no one talking to you, but you see this circle and you see a single rock missing. You're like, I'm going to pick that rock up and put it down in the circle and complete this circle. I don't even know if it's going to do anything. Nothing in the game has prepped me to think that this is going to do anything, but I want this fucking circle complete. So you do it, and then the little guy goes, woohoo! And he jumps out of nowhere and he gives you a Korok seed. And so you're like, fuck, I'm glad I did that. And they get weirder as the game goes on. And like I said a bit ago, there are 900 of them. Yeah.
There's one that sucks. So I want to just, even though I'm probably not like leveled up enough, what sucks is trying to Google stuff that I want to find, not being able to figure out where it is on the map. And I'm not sure if it's because I haven't unlocked the full map or if it's because they've zoomed in on a place that I just can't see. So I just want to unlock the entire map. So that's what I've been trying to do. So I've gotten to the corner of the world where they're the giant, thick Amazonian women. And firstly...
Yeah, the Gerudo area.
Why do all the freaking enemies have fire arrows? Where are they finding them? And how have I gone the entire game with only finding like a handful? Secondly, why are arrows so expensive? They're so expensive. And the example of a Korok seed puzzle that just drives me insane. I don't know if it's because I haven't perfected the art of climbing a wall, jumping off the wall, then getting into a paraglider, which I can't realize. Why am I not able to do that easily? And also, like, he can't jump away from the wall, he just lets go. I just want to jump off the wall and get into a paraglider just so I can get a metal cube that's on the side of a cliff, and the puzzle is at the bottom of the cliff, but not all the way down. So the amount of times I tried to lower this cube down to the puzzle, dropped it, it rolled off the cliff, and I saw it go into the freaking horizon, was just insanity. And I had to do 4 attempts and reloads just to climb the side of a mountain again, just to jump off and try and paraglide to the platform, to magnet lift the cube and lower it down. Also, the depth stuff with the magnetism isn't easy, and you can never really quite tell if it's working.
It's kind of hard to feel the depth. Yeah, and I see what you're saying. When it goes up for a certain distance, you're like, I don't know exactly. It's not close enough to the ground for me to see a shadow for it's going to land. So what's
why
the deal
put
with that?
A physics puzzle on the side of a cliff?
You know, I think therein lies the beauty of the game too. Sort of tangential. The game is so big that I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't think I've ever seen that at all. Yeah, it's just
good.
I don't know. It's a game of chance encounter. I mean, it would make sense that, you know, like I said, just within the Korok puzzles, there's like 900 of them. Some of them are going to be stupid, impossible, frustrating, want to kill yourself kind of mini puzzles.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Kind of fun. I kind of respect it.
They
put some impossible shit in there.
Okay, yeah. The wolves have never been a problem to me, right?
Sure.
Unless you're in like a more enclosed space, like a path where they can't deviate from the path. Then they're annoying because I tend to use heavy weapons and they're very good at dodging.
Yeah, they are.
And I feel bad because they're dogs, effectively, in my eyes, and I'm smacking them and eating them once I get their prime raw meat. Their raw prime meat.
Delicious.
That happened. And You know those enemies that come out of the ground and then spit like a ball of mud at you, and they come out of the water sometimes. There's different ones, but there's one for sand.
Yeah, the ones in the water are Octoroks, I believe, and then
I can't remember what the
scrub. I think they're Deku scrubs or whatever, or something like that. I forget what they're called. Yeah.
I want to go for a metal chest because I've dealt with the wolves now, and as I approach it, one of those appear and it's on top of his head and he's carrying it, so I have to kill him to get to it. Now it comes out the ground, so then I hit him. He goes flying into terrain and brings the freaking chest with him and dies in a place that I can't reach him in the side of a cliff, and he's taken the chest with him, so that annoyed me. And then I got one shot from behind.
Oh my god!
Should I tell you where I am roughly? There's this one tower.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
There's this one tower that is bottomless in the desert world, and I'm trying to go around the cliffs to try and reach the top of that, to paraglide to the top of it. It's that area where things have just shifted into a different gear, and I'm getting just battered. Go on.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Shit's wild. Yeah. Where was I even gonna go with that? It's a game that it's much in like Skyrim. I felt like anytime I had this, that spidey sense that some shit was about to go down, something that I was going to be irreversibly broken because I fucked up. It's a game where the saves are basically save states. You save anywhere you want, and you can load it, and you're back there. And so sometimes it sort of relies on you to save at opportune times, and that's that shit's tricky. So sometimes you don't do that before a chest disappears into the ground with an Octorok or whatever it's called, and that sucks. But I don't know. It's kind of a mysterious game. It's so I don't know. It's so big that you can't just be told everything about it. So you have these weird things happen to you that you didn't even know was in the game, that you've never seen a streamer or a friend talk about. It's like, what the fuck is this? Which is kind of cool. I feel like in the age of the internet where all the information is available to you, it's like the only way to make a game mysterious is to just put so much shit in it that you couldn't possibly have heard about it. So I mean, it's kind of fun. It kind of has that quality to it.
That's nice in a way that like everyone's experiences, because the experience is so vast. Everyone, a little bit like Skyrim, everyone has a different experience based on what they decide to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm a fan. It's good stuff.
Did you complete God of War?
I did. I completed God of War. And are you sure we haven't talked about that? I guess we haven't, right?
No, because last time we spoke to you, you were about to finish it, but you hadn't quite finished it.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, it's another game with a good ending.
Oh wait,
and I'm not
we
a person
talk about
to
it, actually.
Did okay? I'm like pretty sure we did. Okay,
but like
that's good. Yeah,
I haven't finished it. I'm just bad at finishing games, Max. They come out so quickly, and I'm so busy.
I had a reason to finish it, which is it was my friend's copy that he's letting me borrow it, and I've had it for months, and I've started to feel real bad. And I just completed a game I had been addicted to before that, sort of a Stardew Valley type game called Graveyard Keeper. I completed that game. It was a very long game. I maybe wouldn't have committed to completing it if I knew it was going to be that long. But so I completed that. I was free. I broke out of my Graveyard Keeper chains, and I jumped into God of War finally. And now I'm out of those chains, so we're good. Now I'm like a super free boy, and I just play Risk of Rain 2, Delver, and Simpsons Hit and Run. Those have been my main three as of late. All three sort of scratch a different itch. I'm partial to roguelike games, so I play a lot of those. Love them.
You get your value for money there.
Yeah, for sure. At the very least, it's a sort of quantitative way to see your skill go up. Because if you get better at a roguelike game, you'll know it because you get further or farther or further. I think the word is further, because we're not talking about a physical distance. Further. Yeah, great stuff. Well, I guess what's your take on roguelike games. Do you tend to like them?
I do tend to like them.
How do they hit you? Okay.
I've played Rogue Legacy, which is a platformer roguelike, which is a roguelite. I don't care for the distinction, honestly.
I don't even know what the distinction is.
It's fine. But
it's
like
roguish.
Shovel Knight is Shovel Knight a roguelike?
I don't think so. I think
it's not.
None of it's procedurally generated. Yeah, I think it's all deliberately laid out.
No, I've made a mistake there. As you can imagine,
they look similar.
Rogue Legacy and
me.
Shovel Knight, I played very close to each other, but they're not actually in the same genre. You're right.
Yeah. They're both 2-dimensional.
Is Binding of Isaac roguelike?
Yeah,
it is.
100%. Everything about it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I played that for like 8 minutes and it made me mad, so I stopped.
I get that.
Which is funny because I really
conversely, it's my most played Steam game.
Yeah. I've had
a Steam account for like 12 years.
I really liked Super Meat Boy. I have been playing a lot of like smaller games. Like I've been looking back. I went to Newgrounds and I was like looking back at the things I used to play. This is once again. I think we remember stuff nicer than it actually was. Like art made with Adobe Flash was always a bit wobbly, but
I kind of think it looks like shit from my current eyeballs.
I don't remember it looking
charming.
that wobbly ever. I remember it being as clean as possible in my nostalgic mind. But then you look at it and you're like, huh. And then like I opened up it's called Adobe Animate now, but it's basically Adobe Flash. And I was just drawing stuff with the mouse and I was like, this wasn't that hard. I was just drawing stuff with the mouse. I was like, yeah, I get it. I remember this now. I've done that before as well. But now we've moved into like everyone's making games with like Unity, and Photoshop, and Illustrator, and things are just of a higher quality. Even though, and a lot of people, we were talking about this recently. I have a game project I kick around, and I want to get more progress with it. It's a pixel art game, and none of the art I've made, because pixel art is actually really hard to do. People don't realize how hard it is to be constrained by squares. It's a real pain in the ass. So I made an enemy. The game is called Dino Dungeon. I'm not sure why I'm not saying it. If you look at my Twitter, you can see that there is progress somewhere there. I tweet a lot, okay? And I just made an enemy, and I pretty much based it off of an existing sprite sheet of one of the playable characters. So basically I shortcutted pixel art. All I did was fill in different colours and change the shape a little bit.
That's fun though. And I guess so this is coming from the perspective of someone who has never made a game, never learned the first thing about making a game or doing pixel art for that matter. I feel like when you start to create a pixel art character, there's a lot of planning that goes involved. You can't just like start. I feel like you have to be aware and try your best to think of the most detailed thing on the character and then scale the entire rest of the character based on the smallest detail. Like, well, fuck, I need at least 3x3 pixels. I need 9 pixels to do the detail for this bag on his side. So I need to make the character big enough to have 9 pixels to do this bag.
See,
or another way to represent this bag is if you start it right and then you get to the bag and you're like, oh fuck, I can't scale this entire character up. I put these pixels in manually. Oh shit, I bet that would be tricky.
I think challenges like that have helped define like different art styles. I'm being like a pixel artist connoisseur now, except for I can't do pixel art to save my life, but like I can recognize the process that has to go into things. There's a game called Super Time Force, which is really fun, and it's a pixel art game. I think it's a Cappy game, but I'm not quite sure. But it's really fun, and it's a pixel art game, and when you see the characters, you realize that like they have pixels, but then they have smaller pixels, and I was like, how much planning ahead does that take to intentionally draw bigger pixels and like make it look like it was supposed to be like that in the first place? So that's how they figured out a way to make detail. Like, most of the main features are just bigger pixels, and then the small features are like a quarter of the size. And I've been experimenting with like Magic of Voxel, and the way they pretty much do that is they draw a rough like of what they want the character to be, and when they realise they don't have enough detail, they pretty much scale it up by 4 and then just start adding little details here and there.
Yeah,
Super Time Force looks really nice. Like it's I don't know how to explain it. I think people should just play it. It's really fun. It's really fun.
Somehow I've never heard of that. Let me throw it in the Google machine.
I hope I'm saying...
supertimeforce.gov.
Is it called Super Time Force Ultra? No, it's called Super Time Force, and then they re-released it as Super Time Force Ultra. There's the main character, not the main character, your sergeant, the guy in charge of you. He wears 2 what do you wear?
That looks cool.
What do you wear when you're blind in one eye? Eye patch. He wears 2 eye patches that cross over the forehead. It's quite amusing.
You know what I would wear if I was blind in one eye?
What?
Pants. Because I still have to cover up my legs and wean.
Oh, that's smart, Max.
Yeah. It actually doesn't change based on blindness. You still have to wear pants.
Has the podcast gone on for so long that we're descending into just gibberish?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe a little bit. It is who I am as a person, so, I think it's going to happen, right?
What's your cat's name again?
My cat's name is Booger.
Tell Booger I'm grateful Booger didn't meow the entire time this time, but I'm sure
Booger,
he will the next
great
time.
that he didn't meow the whole time. He's sleeping. I'm going to wake him up
Booger
telling him that, which would be very ironic.
Cats are difficult creatures. You got to do things on their terms, and there's no with a dog will meet you most of your way. Sometimes you have to meet them halfway. Sometimes you got to convince them. But with a cat, it's just what they want all the time. And like, I worked with someone who had to give their cat medicine once, and my God, did it define the relationship for the rest of his life that cat hates him from now on, because he had to force feed him medicine, and that means getting an oven glove, taping it, wearing a jacket and stuff so you don't get clawed up. my next door's neighbour's cat is a house cat, but every time I come over, I can see his little yellow eyes making a beeline for the freaking door and being like, one of these days I'm gonna get out there and he's escaped before. He's escaped numerous times. Once I was in London and my girlfriend called me to call next door and tell them that their cat has escaped and she could see it in the garden, and I called my next door neighbour. I was like, so Patsy just called me and she wants me to tell you that Finu, the cat is called Finu, is in the garden, and I just hear rustling of the mic and him hitting furniture on the way out, because it's thing is, I understand it, other cats are bastards, and some people here shouldn't be allowed to raise kids, let alone some animal with claws and predatory tendencies. And also we have a lot of foxes here, and also we have grey squirrels, and grey squirrels are they're not native, and they're an invasive species, and apparently it's okay to off them, but I don't want to. And they're mean as well. Have you ever seen a badger?
Yeah, I went to Yellowstone National Park, which is either in or near Jackson Hole, South Dakota. It's across the country from me. My parents were like, "Here, I'll let you drive a little bit, so you can say you've driven in Yellowstone National Park, where the biggest water geyser is. It's it's the state park, I feel in the country." And I almost hit a badger driving. Those things are fast. Holy fuck. It came out of nowhere and went right across the front of my car. And,
I've spent most of my life living here thinking there are no interesting animals, but basically we've just integrated wildlife into our normal lives, and now there are catfish flying out the sea and onto my front door. And the first time I saw a badger, it creeped me because I'd never seen one before, and I was actually coming uphill, and it was up the hill, and I saw this alligator-like creature on all fours stomp across the road, and it was dark, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And it was big. I didn't realize how big they can be. But yeah, I've never seen a badger in detail. Foxes are everywhere.
We have some foxes, not so much though. I was gonna ask, do you have raccoons up there? Raccoons?
No, we don't.
Oh,
we don't.
They are weird. They're weirder than you think they are.
I know they are.
They're like really. They're just what do people call? They're like trash bandits.
Yeah.
They're really smart too, which is like the fucked up thing. So like, you know, you will have your trash can put up, the handle, which is basically the lock for the lid, up. So then you'll like wake up the next morning, your trash will be on the ground, the bag ripped open, and little tiny feet prints all over the fucking thing. Like, oh my god. They understand like how to open things. If you're the type of person who has an outside cat and you put food outside for the cat, they can walk up to an animal's bowl and scoop up food in their two front legs, basically like hands, and walk away on their hind legs like a fucking person who's scooped up food and has walked away. They're pretty wild, and they're very smart, and they suck, but they're pretty damn adorable too. So we have those. If you're driving around at night in like a neighborhood on trash night, you'll see them. So great little guys. They have like little bandit masks on.
There is an indie dev. I'm trying to remember who it is that they're making a game where you play as like, you remember Gang Beasts, and like it's called an active ragdoll the way they move, and it's sort of physically intuitive.
It's a game that I never bought because I don't have like a lot of real life friends to play it with because they didn't make it online. Very sad.
Boy.
Yeah.
Imagine like Untitled Goose Game, but you play as a trash panda. There's someone making that effectively. I'm trying to remember what their name is on Twitter. But yeah, it's also Untitled Goose Game is good. It's really funny. It's funny to watch. It's funny to play. I think it's called his Twitter is Punches Bears, and he's making a Trash Panda game, which is hilarious to look at.
Okay, I hope it's unique enough. Hope it's not like someone who's trying to make the next Goat Simulator. Remember when people were trying to do that? And, like no one else the game was funny. Yeah, it's true.
It's true. It's good for YouTube content, and that's how you make the sales, really.
If you can get fucking, I don't know, who's a popular streamer? If you can get Soda Poppin to play your game, then you're a millionaire.
I think we can bring the podcast to a close now. We've mentioned enough games, enough real life things, and enough terrifying wild animals that are not really that wild and almost domesticated.
Yeah, we've covered everything. All forms of wildlife.
This is the Super Salty Podcast. I'm Neelesh. My co-host Max Wallace. Jesus Christ, I had to load it there. It's late. I haven't slept well.
Hey, it's fine.
Our socials are where you expect them to be. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the sentences. Remember that one time I misspelt my own name? Or username even? I said Noni instead of Nino. Noni.
It happens to the best of us. But also an alternative username if you need it.
Goodbye.
Bye.